Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you today to our discussion of the FICO Educational Challenge. I'm joined here by Dr. Siobahn G and students Semirat, Balogun, Elikem, Des-Amekudi, who are from North Carolina Central University. And they're going to discuss their experience participating in the FICO Educational Challenge. FICO is proud to partner with North Carolina Central for the first time, and we congratulate all of you on completing the challenge, including those that are not on the call. I want to dive into the experiences that you all had and what this was like for you. But first, I want to reiterate for everyone, what is the FICO Educational Challenge? This was a challenge that was designed by myself and the team to give students an opportunity to work on real-life data science challenges. And in particular, in the areas of financial services, an area that FICO spends much of its time applying AI and data science to. As you know, AI is used across many industries, and our team is working to teach the next generation of data scientists how to use this technology responsibly, which is of incredible importance. We are in our second year of this challenge. The first year, we focused on equity and bias within home lending data. This year, we have a very technical challenge. It's around the ability for a model to detect payment card fraud. The students were taught the design of how these models are typically designed to predict fraud in financial institution transactions involving profiles, neural networks, and the ability to make a decision in real time with high levels of detection and low false positives. The challenge involved having an opportunity to be mentored by myself and the team of data scientists from FICO who worked with the students collaboratively to work through their team's efforts to make sure they complete the challenge and also compete to be the winning teams. With that in mind, I want to start maybe with a few questions for you, Dr. Grady. Maybe we start with, could you introduce yourself and your role at North Carolina Central University?
Absolutely. So I am an assistant professor and program director of information science in the School of Library and Information Sciences. And I am also the director for our Institute for Artificial Intelligence and Emerging Research here at NCCU.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me here to discuss this experience that your students have participated in. And I think one of the things that'd be really interesting for us to discuss is, why did you decide to partner with FICO and do this educational challenge?
That's a great question, Scott. And I must tell you that when FICO first reached out, I was ecstatic because everyone knows about FICO, especially those whose FICO score comes in handy when trying to make those big purchases. But most importantly, the reason why I accepted the call is because this collaboration would allow my students to get that hands-on critical access to your data scientists to learn how to build these AI machine learning models, which can help them get in the workforce and thrive. They also would get hands-on experience, and also it bridges the gap between the classroom and that real world application and industry application. So I felt this would equip students in my school to succeed and be ready for something just more than theoretical, but really that hands-on practical application.
Excellent, and I think we delivered, right? This
you
challenge
definitely delivered.
this challenge was hard, right? It's a type of science and AI that most people don't learn in school, right? And a lot of people don't think about and work on. But it's really around this sort of challenge of working with transaction data and having to summarize behavior across, let's say, a cardholder's set of transactions in that fight of financial fraud detection. And, I loved it on a few different areas, right? I mean, first, it's a complicated problem, right? It's one I've been working on for 25 years, and I still find endless things to explore and improve. But in addition to that, you have to think about human behavior, right? You have to be able to look at how do I represent human behavior in all these transactions? And I think it's very relatable for students as they think about whether they've been defrauded or someone they know. And so I think it's also relatable. It's not so abstract. So, but but it was complex. It was probably a very complicated challenge this time around. And I was just curious, as the students sort of initially approached the challenge, what were the reactions to the data or the project when they first started to engage?
That's a great question. So the students, and let me just say they're still excited, even after, completing the challenge, but they were excited initially. But I think once they got their hands on the data and started understanding more about the problem and the complexity of it all, I think they got a little bit overwhelmed. However, through the great work of your team, the data scientists, and the mentorship hours and the time giving by FICO, I think they began to get more confident and more of an understanding. And their excitement started to grow because I believe they could start to understand not only the problem, but they started to get ideas on how to make their features better and learn about the different variables. And so I think they really got involved, which is what the challenge is all about, getting them involved and understanding. And who knows, some of my students now might want to actually be a data scientist. So I think the mission was for them to get hands-on application, but also just to get that exposure. So it started off as exciting, then overwhelmed, and then back to exciting. Scott.
Beautiful. Well, for me, it's a passion, right? I mean, I still get enthralled with trying to find meaning in data, all the way back when I was a student and all the way to today. And I think if we left some of the students with this sort of passion for exploration and how to express themselves in data science, that's great if we leave them with that little bit of fever. One of the parts of this challenge was actually to make it a little competitive, right? The students would break into teams and they would name teams and they'd go and compete against each other, right? In a friendly way, obviously, to come up with the best solution, right? Because
Yes.
as you're experienced with, right, there's just many, many different ways to solve problems. And that's where, individuals' creativity and experience and approaches all make differences. So I was just curious about that dynamic of having teams competing for first place and in terms of, let's say the best sort of solution or the highest level of detection. What did that look like? How did the students approach that?
So let me just be honest and transparent. None of the students like working in groups a lot of times. However, I'm just going to be honest. And that's not new probably for any professor, but I always try to remind the students that whether they like that or not, that's actually real world. We do have to work with each other and learn how to work in teams and learn how to communicate what we're doing and work collaboratively, because that's really how we get a lot done, is when we work together. But I will say that over time, I think the students really started to learn from each other, learn each other's strengths, and really get into that collaborative spirit. And what I decided to do is serve as that mentor, that coach, if you will, to encourage them and be supportive of them in this new journey that they were encountering. And so I think they got in a good rhythm as time went on. And one of the things about this program too is it's so fast paced that it really pushes students or challenges them to really rise to the occasion. And I'm so proud of them, because even though this was something brand new to most of my students, they really buckled down and got the job done. And I'm really proud about how they were able to adapt to this fast-paced environment that was created with the FICO team.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting insight, and it's a correct one, right? Like in the real world, we have to work with others, and there's tight deadlines, and we learn to appreciate each other, right? Because
Absolutely.
there's something that that I don't, and I know that you may not know, and things that you're better at than I, and working in teams means that we can definitely achieve much more, and we trust each other, and moreover, right? Like I see this even at FICO today, as even for myself, every week I'm learning something new because I'm interacting and collaborating. So it's a really great way also just to continue to learn, which I think if you're a student today and you might be exhausted, right? But you're there because you like to learn and you like to improve yourself. And I think this sort of field of data science is a great area. You could just look at all the new achievements, right, with generative AI and AI in general. And, there's plenty of things to learn constantly. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm really glad that North Carolina Central, joined us in this journey. And I think it's always helpful for people that are listening in to understand, like what this experience looks like, and how it can be valuable for students and to supplement them. And I was just curious if you had any sort of advice for any future professors that are unfamiliar or haven't embarked in a challenge like this before. What would your advice be to those professors so that they can empower their students and provide this sort of real life, real world, real hard data science challenge so they can grow?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. So first of all, when approached to join this challenge, one of the first things that I thought about is which course do I have where I could sort of plug this in and it be almost seamless. So I would say for faculty members, if you have a capstone course or some type of course that has a project component to it, this program lends itself really well to that type of initiative. So for this work with you all, it was pretty seamless for this type of capstone course and our program, where students actually have to work on a project each semester. And this was a perfect plug and play, if you will, because they actually worked on a real world problem, something more than just textbook. And they got to work with a great company like FICO to get that hands-on experience, work with the data scientists, learn more about what the infrastructure looks like. And also, did I mention the great opportunities that FICO does with this program, offering the students to do internships that work with this? You all came to our campus. So what I'm trying to say is I found FICO to be extremely empowering, not just for the students, but also for me as a faculty member as well. But I recommend that, again, finding the course that this could fit best in. And one last thing that I want to encourage is for faculty members to be flexible. The FICO team actually is working their data scientists. So sometimes if schedules have to be changed or rearranged, I just ask that faculty be flexible and encourage the students to be flexible, because these individuals are working a full-time job and they're volunteering to do this work with you and your students at your university. So it was great. I hope I didn't talk too much there, but that's the way that it worked for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the comment around the mentors. Yeah, they do volunteer their time, and they're very passionate. And yeah, it's good to see that all come together. And I'm glad, right, that it fits into that, into that capstone and that the practicum experience requirement. That's a really good suggestion for faculty to think about, right, because it could be very much what many of them are looking for, right, and in a kind of structured fashion there. So thank you, Dr. Grady. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate you and the team so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let's switch over to the students. So Semirat and Elikem, thank you for joining and discussing your experiences here on the challenge. First, I'd like to congratulate you both on completing the FICO Educational Challenge. It's not lost on me that it was a tough challenge, and there was a lot of factors there, a lot of things to learn. And I also think that many that are listening in will feel very valuable to understand what your experiences are working on a challenge like this. So maybe we can start with you, Semirat. Can you share your team name, and also maybe just give some view into how your team decided to approach this fraud educational challenge we had?
My team's name was FICO 2, and we each brought different strengths in data analysis, machine learning, and feature engineering. And we decided to approach the challenge by first understanding the data set thoroughly. And from there, we focused on building smart and ethical models using logistic regression and neural networks. Collaboration was key. We shared ideas, refined methods, and ensured that every step was guided by performance, fairness, and responsible AI practices.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Semirat. Elikem, what about yourself?
So me and Samir were on the same team. We was on FICO team 2, and it was a big trial and error kind of process. Everybody on our team had a different ideology, thought process, and plan on how to do things. So we had to sit down, like she said, learn the data, learn each other, and learn how we could put everybody's strengths together to build a plan.
Did you both have the challenge that Dr. Grady mentioned, that you don't like to work in teams? Did you have to learn how to work in teams? Yeah.
It wasn't that we didn't like working in teams. Working in teams is cool, but working with everybody in a team is difficult. There's challenges like, we're in a master's program, so some people some people are full-time, some people are working, some people have this experience and that experience. So it's just really getting everybody together to work as a unit, because everybody has the same goals, and that's what it ended up being. It ended up being everybody realizing at the end of the day, we want to get this done and done right. We want to win. How can we do that together?
Beautiful. Love it. Love it. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, just finding time and compromising and right is a big part of it when people are busy and they're moving in different directions. I get it. Samira, one of the things that I was curious about is what were your impressions when you first worked with this data? Was it overwhelming, or did you like, whatever, no sweat? What were your impressions when you first kind of got that data and you were asked to build a fraud model?
Yeah, at first it felt overwhelming because of the amount of information it contained. Well, with the help of the mentors, and as we began analyzing it step by step through exploration, creating meaningful features and identifying patterns, I realized there was a process we could follow. As we began analyzing it, it all started to make sense to me. And it showed me that with the right approach, even the complex problems can have clear solutions.
Got it, Samira. Well, that's important to share, right? I mean, I think anyone would be overwhelmed with being dropped with a bunch of transaction data and have to make a decision on each and every transaction. And but as you say, right, with a little bit of help and maybe someone that's thought through it a little bit, right, it's an attainable thing. It's almost like when you have to hike 20 miles, you make it to the next tree and then you make it to the next rock, and before you know it, you get through it, right? But that's one of the ways you have to look at some of these problems sometimes, because it can be pretty overwhelming at times. But I'm glad, right, that the team was able to share a path, right, that is certainly attainable, and now you all know what that path is. You've walked it and you've experienced it. Elikem, Semirat talked about mentors, and I was just curious, what are your impressions of working with these mentors? Did they help shape a direction for you, or were they just laying back and waiting for you all to ask? I was just curious, what did that interaction look like, and were you able to partner with them as you worked through the projects?
I think the mentors were great. We were able to bounce ideas off of them, and it's kind of like having a coach. The greatest players typically have coaches that are always like supporting them. I think they created an environment, because it was new to a lot of my team, machine learning and all this coding. They didn't have background with this, but the mentors created an environment to where they were able to build confidence and feel like, hey, I might know what I'm talking about, to feel more comfortable with what they're doing, which helped us progress as a team really well.
Got it. And you raised a good point, right? Like there was a lot of different types of technologies that you may or may not have been exposed to, right? And I'm just looking across all the universities we worked with this entire year, and that can be really, really sort of intimidating, right? To work through and be presented, particularly since you all have full-time schedules and whatever else, right? So having that ability for them to support and take through it is great to hear, right? And I think it's always valuable also for the mentors. We get a lot out of it also, because we get to learn the way that you're looking at the problem. As you can imagine, right, when you do something for a long time, right, everyone's looking for something creative, a new spark, a new way of looking at the problem. And so it's a two-way street, right, with respect to, I think the mentors got a whole lot, all sharing and seeing how you react to different ways of approaching that. So the challenge was one that teams got through. As Dr. Grady said, she's very proud. I'm very proud. It was not an easy challenge this time around, very technical. And again, I think it's really important that you got through it and you persevered. And, one of the things that the objectives we have is that we are training sort of the next generation of students, right, that are going to drive the future of AI in responsible AI, responsible fashions. As Semirat said, the responsible AI was a big theme that was something that she was thinking through as we go through the project. And it's really important to me, right? And a big part of that is that diverse group of new people that are looking at how to responsibly use AI. What are those challenges from an ethics perspective? And so I appreciate you being part of that journey and part of that, our objective there. And I was just curious, right, as you look over the challenge and you look at what's next for both of you, do you plan to incorporate any of these skills from the analytics challenge into your career? And would you recommend it for others other colleges or students that, should they participate, would they get something out of it? So what do you take going forward, I guess, from the challenge is one way to sum it up.
The FICO Educational Analytics Challenge has taught me how to build AI models that are both effective and ethical. And I now understand the importance of using data responsibly, avoiding bias, and ensuring effective AI systems. These are principles that I'll carry into every project throughout my career. And I would absolutely recommend this program to other students and colleges. It's a great opportunity to apply classroom knowledge to solve real-world problems, collaborate with others, and also gain hands-on experience that's essential for anyone that wants to pursue a career in data science and AI.
I appreciate that, and in particular, right, that the fact that responsible AI theme, right, is sticking. I think that's one of the most important things from my perspective that every data scientist should be thinking through, and in particular, the next generation, right, because there's such a phenomenal sort of set of technologies, but we need to make sure that we're thinking about the responsible and safe and ethical use of it. So I'm glad that that's something you take away. Elikem, what about yourself? What do you think you'll take away from the challenge?
I think I'll take a lot away from the challenge. We live in a data-driven world. Every decision we make now is data-driven. So being able to interpret the data and make better decisions is applicable in every field. So I think everybody should have the data science skill set to be able to apply in whatever they do.
Yeah, that's a great insight, and frankly, right, I sometimes think about, like, are we teaching students the right skill sets? And yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Elikem. It'll be a situation where having that data science background, right, or being able to understand a data scientist or understand what AI does is just going to be, it ain't going away, right? And so from that perspective, being able to participate in it and to make sure that you can govern it, right, or participate in how to build it properly is really important. And it's not just a traditional data science job, right? Data science shows up in cybersecurity and financial fraud and so many different areas that it's almost surprising. And so it will probably be, a necessary skill that we're all going to appreciate understanding, right? And particularly if both of you and your teams come away with some of that in your pockets, it's certainly not going to be a wasted effort in my mind either. So I'm glad to hear that. With that, let's pull back Dr. Grady. So it's been a great conversation. I hope it's insightful for everyone that's listened in at the type of experience and the type of value of an educational challenge like this. I appreciated everyone's feedback and thoughts, right? Both from being challenged and learning new things and learning to work with industry practitioners and different members of the teams. And focusing on really important topics like responsible AI to, some of your comments, Dr. Grady, about like how important it is to bolster and to encourage and to the students in terms of the curriculum that we already have, but moreover to prepare them for the future. And so I want to thank you. It's been a phenomenal conversation. And I also just want to thank you again for participating in our challenge. I'm going to do year 3, and I already have a really great topic in mind. So I'm hoping that I can count on you again for year 3. But Dr. Grady, I'll leave it to you for any last comments.
Scott, sign us up. We want to be a part of year 3. We want to continue this partnership. It's an invaluable opportunity to our students and campus. And I think my students agree. We had a great time with the FICO team, especially you all coming to see us on campus as well. So thank you and the team so much for all of your efforts. It has not went on deaf ears, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more work from the students in the future in this area.
That's excellent. Then we succeeded in our partnership. So thank you, Dr. Grady. And congratulations again to everybody from North Carolina Central University. It was a great effort. And on to year 3. Thank you.